A very good evening and welcome. This is News First Weekend Primetime News here on MTV Sports. I'm Ramesh Irugal Pandala. Now, at least 7 people have been killed in sectarian violence in Iraq. Meanwhile, gold prices have fallen for the 7th consecutive day. We will have details of these stories later on in the news bulletin. Before that, let's now take a look at your headlines. The 4th Victory Day celebrations marked in Colombo with much pomp and pageantry. Addressing the nation, President Rajapaksa says that the nation that was won through sacrifices will not be divided. India urges Sri Lanka not to dilute the 13th Amendment. An individual engages in a fast on top of the roof of the Hambantota bus stop. On to our top story tonight. President Mahinda Rajapaksa reiterates that he will not allow anyone to take away or split an inch of the island that was won over after many sacrifices. The president made this statement during the 4th annual Victory Day celebrations held in Colombo today.
The 4th anniversary of the end of the 30-year-old war that plagued the country was held at the Golf Green with much pomp and ceremony. Following a minute of silence in remembrance of fallen war heroes, a gun salute was accorded to the president. Thereafter, the president inspected the Victory Day parade. The president addressed the nation subsequently.
This era should become historic, not as one in which a war was waged, but as an era in which a war was ended. During the 4 years since the victory, certain groups resorted to various campaigns to take control of the country, from the Arab Spring to Greece devils to the independence of the judiciary, media freedom and human rights. We were forced to provide answers every 6 months. Their hidden agenda is to split the country and to dominate it. We will not allow even an inch of this country, which was won through your sacrifices, to be taken away or divided.
බලාපොරොත්තු අපි ඔබ ජීවිත පූජා කරලා දිනාගත්ත දේශය එක බිම් මංගලක් උදුරා ගන්න ඉඩ තියන්නෙත් නැහැ බෙදන්න ඉඩ තියන්නෙත් නැහැ.
The president also pointed out that individuals who appear as guardians of the public are vested with different agendas.
උතුරේ ජනතාව තමන් වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටින අයගේ
Time has come for the people in the north to realize how honest those who represent them really are. After 30 years, fishermen in the north can freely venture out to the sea. When fishermen in the north go out to sea, fishermen from other areas fish there and take their catch away. However, these people who take these fish away are the same people who exert pressure on the government on behalf of the people in the north. The people in the north should be aware of these so-called guardians.
මේ කපටි ආරක්ෂකයන්ගේ උතුරේ ජනතාව අනාගතයේදී ප්‍රේසම් වෙන්න ඕන.
During the Victory Day celebrations, President Mahinda Rajapaksa awarded the Paramavira Vibhushana Award for 6 soldiers, the highest gallantry award any military personnel will receive from a head of state. Thereafter, the Victory Day parade showcasing the might of the 3 armed forces commenced. Vessels of the Sri Lanka Navy and aircraft from the Sri Lanka Air Force added colour to the parade. The Victory Day parade concluded with a brilliant display put on by paratroopers of the 3 armed forces who parachuted down to the Golf Green.
Meanwhile, a commemorative event was held this evening to remember the soldiers who sacrificed their lives in the fight against terrorism. The event was held at the War Heroes Memorial opposite the Parliament Complex in Buffalo. On to other local news now. Leader of the Democratic Party, Sarath Fonseca, addressed a public meeting in the Gokaralla area in Kurunegala today.
The public meeting was held at the Gokaralla Sri Raja Chaitya Rama Temple. Two minutes of silence was observed in remembrance of fallen war heroes. The prison sentence handed down to the accomplice of KP is only a month, but I was sentenced for 30 months. The person who brought arms to this country in secret is being sent to prison for a month and another year to rehabilitate. You can now understand whether there is any justice in this country. The present ruler and his regime celebrate the War Heroes Day for petty gains. However, I am aware of the sacrifices that were made by the soldiers. They didn't recognize the services rendered by these soldiers, nor did they assist their families. We said to provide 500,000 rupees for 5,000 fallen soldiers as compensation. Only 150,000 is being paid. This amount was approved in 1985. You cannot even meet the funeral expenses from this 150,000 rupees. However, they are not willing to help these families.
Leader of the Jansata Peramana, Venerable Batramulle Siratanthero, convened a media briefing today.
Everyone came forward to protect the country and end the war. Just because terrorism has been eradicated, do not deploy your war heroes to sweep the streets, clean toilets, plant fruits or cut down trees. Recruit a separate set of laborers to carry out these tasks. I request the President, Defence Secretary and the Army Commander, while recruiting soldiers to the Army, keep them on standby at all times. There is a group inside the military who are disappointed. We don't know when they will leave the army. So I request not to deploy them for such activities and continue to train them and ensure that the country is safe.
Ahead of the Northern Provincial Council elections, India has urged Sri Lanka not to dilute the powers that the Tamils in the Northern Province have through the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Now, according to Indian media, Indian Minister of Foreign Affairs Salman Khurshid had made this request through a telephone conversation that he had with his Sri Lankan counterpart, Professor G.L. Pires.
According to media reports, the Indian Minister of Foreign Affairs had made this request concerned over the reports of the Sri Lankan government considering the removal of land police powers from the provinces prior to the Northern Province polls. The Indian Foreign Minister has also raised the issue of the 26 Indian fishermen who are in detention in Sri Lanka and sought their early release. According to the Indian media, Minister Salman Khurshid has focused special attention during this phone conversation on the 5 Indian fishermen who are being detained in Sri Lanka since of November last year.
Now, a small Navy vessel met with an accident in the seas off the coast of Halpiti, Colombo today. Now, according to the police, 2 Navy officers who were on board the vessel at the time of the accident have been admitted to the National Hospital.
According to the Navy media spokesperson, Commander Kosala Varnakula Surya, the accident took place in seas off Marine Drive in Kolpiti. 2 Navy officers who survived the accident have been admitted to the National Hospital. According to the police, search operations are underway to find a missing Navy sailor. We saw the boat capsizing. 3 people came ashore. One of them told us that there were 4 people with them. Then we saw one person being picked up by a boat on the other side. The person was pulled on board after a lot of work. The one who is missing is an individual from the boat that came from this side. He jumped to the sea to rescue the others. All 4 people were rescued and taken to hospital. According to the director of the National Hospital, Dr. Anil Jasingha, the 2 Navy officers who were admitted to hospital are out of danger. The Navy media spokesperson meanwhile noted that operations are underway to salvage the vessel that met with the accident.
An individual has been engaging in a fast since this morning on the roof of the Hambantota bus stand. Now, the individual engaged in the fast urged the authorities to remove his name from the register of criminals and that justice be meted out to him.
The individual who is engaged in the fast since this morning on top of a roof of the Hambantota bus stand is calling for justice to be meted out. The Tangal police officers who arrived at the scene requested him to end the fast. However, the individual did not agree to do so. The mayor of Hambantota, Eraj Ravinda Fernando, arrived at the location to speak with the individual who is engaged in the fast. However, the police said that judicial action will continue to be taken against the individual in question. Meanwhile, a protest was organized by the Randobe Dust Steel Producers Association today. The protesters engaged in the demonstration by blocking the Galle Colombo main road. They charged that they have a license from the tea board to obtain dust tea from tea factories, purify them and then resell it. However, they charged that their product continue to be seized by the police. When we inquired about the matter, Commandant of the STF, DIG Chandrasiri Ranavana, noted that they do not seize stocks of dust tea if the owners possess the necessary licenses. The DIG also noted that if conditions in the license are violated, raids are carried out after consultations with the tea board.
කසලතේ නිෂ්පාදකයන් අත්අඩංගුවට නොගන්නා බවයි. නමුත් බලපත්‍ර නීති උල්ලංඝනය කර ඇතනම්
On to our developing story tonight. Protests and demonstrations were held in several parts of the island against the electricity tariff hike yesterday as well.
Signatures were obtained for a petition last evening opposite the Kampaha train station against the electricity tariff hike. The event was organized by the JVP. The group, which converged opposite the Kampaha hospital, engaged in a procession carrying candles. The procession ended at the Kampaha hospital. Meanwhile, the JVP also organized a demonstration against the increased electricity tariffs in the Akurasa town. A demonstration also took place opposite the Kurunagala main bus stand.
Several trade unions will launch a massive strike on the 21st against the tariff hike. We are supporting this move. At present, the government has attributed the electricity tariff hike to the losses incurred by the CEB. We are well aware as to why the CEB is incurring losses. In 2006, 2 court reports were tabled. It noted that 46 state institutions were corrupt. The CEB is among them.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka says it will not hesitate to act to uphold the rule of law if various parties act to infringe fundamental civil liberties enshrined in the Constitution.
Issuing the communique, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka notes that several civil organizations have expressed their concerns and protests regarding the recent electricity tariff hikes. The BASL notes that they recognize the rights of civil society and trade unions to engage in such matters of public importance within the framework of the law, and it's the exercises of their fundamental civil liberties. The release issued under the signature of Sanjay Gamage, the secretary of the BASL, notes that they urge all parties concerned to act within a framework of law which permits the exercise of rights such as freedom of speech and peaceful assembly. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka reiterates that in the event of an infringement of such rights, the Bar Association will not hesitate to act to uphold the law.
And it's time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.